Welcome to the RNR Good Stuff podcast where the retro computing, gaming, and hobbies collide.
Well, everyone, thanks for joining us again for another podcast. This time, we are in a special recording studio called Brian's Car on the way back from VCF East. We just, we got a few hours ahead of us and figured let's lay some track. What do you think, Ryan?
I think it's great. We are here in Chevy Bolt. It is driving for us right now. I'm just paying attention, and it's making the podcast a little bit easier, but it has been a much better drive for us.
I am going to say we're being very careful. Travel has been great this trip. I know even myself coming out here, even though I had to go to Denver and then from Denver over to Dulles, all the flights were on time. Everything worked. I kind of gave you a ping. You grabbed me from the airport like in perfect timing.
Great.
And, we spent the night and we started the next day super early. Dude, the Chevy Volt. Go over this Super Cruise.
Super Cruise is great. It's hands-free driving. I got to pay attention, which I am. I'm looking around, make sure nothing bad happens. There are some crazy drivers out here. It keeps us on the highway, or in the lanes. At our speed, it'll slow down and speed up to the whatever our max speed is set to, and it works great. It's been way less tiring than without it.
It's pretty cool, everyone. It's like imagine ChatGPT took over your car and just kind of get you down the road. That's what it's feeling like. It's really nice. We conquered and crushed that ride up. I mean, we got there and we jumped into Lot A. Ryan was okay. I did a lot of B-roll to make a little snippet of this on the YouTube, and he was very patient with me through everything. So I appreciate that, Ryan.
Oh, it's been great. For those that want to see that B-roll, it is out there on YouTube, and we will post a link to it.
Ooh, thanks.
Within this.
Get those eyes, get those peeps on the channel.
Yeah, come fall around, come see what we saw.
Now, we got up there Friday, and we had a very light day. None of the exhibitors are open. They're actually setting up on Friday.
Right.
So if you're coming to VCF East, that's one thing to be prepared. It's a talk day, and the consignment's not even open. We did the load up later, but we did make it to the first talk, and this one was super geeky and super intelligent, and it's one Ryan really wanted to see, and I enjoyed hearing about. Dude, tell us about the Dragon. Tell us about the Dragon.
Yeah, the first talk that we went to was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They had some stuff started at 8, but we didn't make that. We were still driving up. But the 1 o'clock, the talk was on Gadira, which is reverse engineering. It's a tool that will load your binary, help you detect what CPU it's for, and show you the instructions for what that binary is doing, and you can track through it. You can decompile it, and you get a C program of like, here you go, and then do all kinds of stuff. What did you think of it?
Dude, it was great. I listened, and the presenter Mika did a great job. He kind of went through. He had some demo stuff. I was watching him, and I was watching you. You had your laptop open. Ryan made a bin file specially to start working with this tool. I didn't realize this till we were at the hotel later that night, and I was asking him more questions. What was this bin file you made?
Well, I've been slowly teaching myself Amiga programming with a C program that I had written already, doing some things, opening some windows, having menu pull downs and whatever. So I took the application that I had written and I had already compiled, and that binary loaded it up into Gadira, and it goes, what process? I think it's this Motorola 68000. Which one is it? Clicked on it, and it's like, there's all my instruction codes for it. And I could see the Amiga libraries and the strings that came out of it. So it's really neat. And then it was very interesting seeing the C program that Gadira generated, and then you can compare it to what I had written and just trying to understand what's going on. I still don't fully know what's going on with Gadira, but I could at least do that now, see the assembly and see the C stuff, where I couldn't do that before. I didn't know what I was doing prior to this presentation, so that was a big help.
Yeah, okay, that you kind of went where I was going to ask you a question was, he did a little bit of history of Gadira, which was really nice, and then he did some, live action work, and that's when I was watching Ryan on his laptop. I'm watching Mika do his stuff. Did you then, you definitely did take away from that presentation a uplift in your ability to use the program.
Yeah, I have some basic understanding of how do I load an app, where do I put my binaries, how do I get it to do some basic stuff, how do I get it to find all the strings. I believe he counted them as a series of characters of length 5 or greater, and it just puts them in this special table. If you click on one, it'll jump you to where it is in that binary, so you can actually get stuff back and forth. So I can do some basic stuff now, where I still have a lot to learn, but it makes me feel like I'm not totally overwhelmed. I'm just mostly overwhelmed.
Hey, that's awesome. I really did feel. I'm really glad you got something out of that, because it was all Greek to me, folks. And if this is all Greek to you, that makes sense. I'll try and take that out in post. We had a very big New Jersey vehicle go by us with no muffler. Number 2, we wrapped that up, and I think we had a bite to eat over at the food truck. And last year,
yes, we did.
They missed having a food truck, so this year was really nice. Hey, not going to say 5-star, but I'm going to say it was 3-star. And when you're at a con and you just need a hamburger or a hot dog, it definitely fit the bill.
Yeah, it definitely did. That was a nice ad for this year. I'm glad they got to make that happen.
Last year we had to bring snacks and food,
correct,
or we had to leave.
Yes.
And, really, I don't want to leave a con. I don't want to lose those 30 minutes going somewhere, eating 30 minutes back, or 50,
right,
whatever it is. I don't want to lose that time.
Right. I want to be enjoying that event. Staying inside of those parameters is amazing. So, yeah, definitely.
There was a big focus this year on Atari. We stopped by the classroom. We stopped by the glitch lab. In the classroom, they had, 12, 14 Atari 800s all set up for basic and assembly programming,
yes,
learning.
Yeah, they definitely had them there. They were actually networked together with the FujiNet product.
FujiNet!
So they all had that connectivity with FujiNet. So that was a really nice layout.
Who did you talk to there?
I know Andy Diller was there.
Yeah.
He's very involved in the FujiNet project. So I knew him. I got an Amiga 3000 off of him last year, I believe.
Yeah.
And then made a connection and started learning more about FujiNet to see what it does, what it can do, how it works. There's not an Amiga version yet. That's what I'm more interested in. But Amiga has some other. It has TCP capability already and network capability already with some other add-ons. So they're focusing their energy on 8-bit devices that don't have that.
That's a good for all of us Commodore people. We left that, and from last year, if you remember our recap, we missed a lot of museums.
Oh yeah,
because this is on the Info Age Science Center layout, and we didn't realize it till kind of at the end. There were other places, so we did a what do you want to call it? Exploring. We did a what do you want to call that? We kind of went out and walked around a bunch. Recon. That's the word to use.
We're on a military base. We're going to use military.
We did recon, and everything was kind of closed Friday. It'll open up Saturday for us, but we went and earmarked where the railroad trains were. We went and earmarked where this was. We went and earmarked where that was. To where Friday, even though there's not exhibitors, we tried to use our time wisely.
Most definitely.
And then we got done with that, and another talk came up on Commodore history. What'd you take away from that?
It was very interesting hearing about the different histories and the backgrounds of what happened throughout the Commodore's history. I know Commodore stuff is very well documented, particularly here on the East Coast, because their headquarters are in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So, that's there's a lot of Commodore engineers in this area, so they talk in a lot of these presentations.
Yes, we should say it was an engineer. So it was one of the engineers tied in with Commodore who had really that point of view as an engineer. I know during the Q&A, a few people asked maybe some, kind of management, sales management questions, and they just didn't have answers because that's not what they dealt with. And what I really liked, they didn't speculate. They talked about what they did every day and what they knew. Yeah,
they're engineers being engineers. They're like, I don't know. Like, me being an engineer, I'm like, I don't know what they're thinking, but hey, I'm going to go build a thing, and that's what they did. They talked about how they built their things and what what projects they were involved with, and pluses and minuses to that. So that was a great talk. For those following along, VCF does a really good job of recording these, and they're going to post them sometime after the event when they get a chance to
Do
go through the
edits.
video and go through the edits and make sure everything's okay. Takes a little bit of time. It's almost all volunteer run at this point.
And that may be out by the time we get this out.
Maybe.
Actually, we'll have to look and see if we link that as I'm doing the show edits.
Very possibly.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. It was a great talk. Again, I'm always amazed at VCF East. Every time I've come into a talk, I'm going to say a 90% that I walk away going, wow, I'm glad I sat down for that.
Yeah, there's been some that were, it's like, oh, I wonder what this will be. Maybe. And then it turns out being really good. And there's some you go in, oh, this should be great. And it's like, this maybe got a little more technical than what I wanted. And unfortunately, I know I can do it. Start talking, getting technical stuff, it becomes a little less interesting sometimes.
Yeah. It's hard to make that sexy.
Yeah, how do you do that? How do you make it sound good?
And just like this podcast, it's sexy. How do we do this, Ryan? We do it all the time. Now, I
Nice.
drugged you to the round table, which was kind of the streamer round table.
Yes.
And I tell you, we had Kat, we had Ash Said Hi, we had Ron's Computer World, we had Amiga Bill, and Action Retro, Sean was the moderator. And we found out later, chatting with him at his booth, that was his first moderation job, and he did an excellent job. That round table went over 20 minutes from where it was supposed to close, and I tell you what, nobody in that audience was ready to leave.
No, I mean, it was a full house. It was a great time. A lot of good presenters. I know some, for myself, I'd never seen before, but I'm definitely interested in going out and learning more about
Who they
channels and who they are.
Yeah, they went over a lot of stuff, and it was actually a little inspirational to Ryan and I.
Yes.
Just like this recording we're doing now, there was a point they were like, you just got to do it. You just got to get out there. Because, of course, the question comes up, how do I get into YouTube? How much do I have to buy?
Right.
What do I need to do? And they're like, use your iPhone. Just start making it happen. Make an image. Do this, do that. It inspired me to make that video all on my iPhone.
Yes.
I captured everything. I edited it in the hotel room, and I published all from my iPhone on this last video. And I hate to say it's probably freaking better than anything I've done so far. But so I had a really good takeaway from that. I also had a great takeaway that Ryan gifted me an A500 on this trip.
Oh, definitely.
So Amiga Bill and Sean and Ron started getting into Amiga editions and things to do with Amigas, and I was just scribbling notes through the whole thing. Was there any new takeaways from you? Because, I mean, literally, your Amiga depth is really strong, Ryan. Did you pull anything out of that discussion, or was it, no, these are all good, valid points they brought up?
They brought all of them were good, solid points for 100%. There's a product that I didn't realize existed for an A500. The sidecar that they were talking about, I think it was the ACA 500 Plus.
Yeah.
They gave you memory, and I don't know if it gave you an accelerator in there as well. You just plug into the side of the 500. I didn't realize that product existed. It's a newer product that was designed. There's some there's a well-in-demand older one from an older GBP product. You can put a hard drive and memory in it, and one of them actually had a 68030. But this is a newer product that's being produced today that you can go buy, which is great. It gives you blending of the old and the new hardware to get a nice workable machine.
Yeah, it was definitely good. And that kind of brought us to a close that night. We did get to visit with some of the folks we know from VCF. Mainly definitely Ben and Ethan, who worked the main room for all the speeches.
Yes.
We got to run into Reggie and Spencer at dinner. And so, again, another great thing is the after the con. And, gosh, where did we go to eat that first night? I can't even remember now. Hold on. Where did we go?
We ended up we tried to get some barbecue.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
That really didn't work out for us because there was not enough space inside the restaurant.
Dear listener, I'm jumping in. It was the craziest, weirdest thing in the world. We go to this barbecue joint. It has an area that could probably seat 20 to 30 people, and they had tables for 12.
Right.
I mean, tops 12. Tops. I mean, we're and then John, who joined us over from the Industrious Rabbit, I'll put this link in too. He went down the street, or not down the street, down the little strip mall to the Italian joint, the pizzeria / Italian joint, and talked with the owner. The owner just jumped and said, "Hey, you guys wait 20 minutes. This table leaves. I'll get these 2 people to move to that table, and we'll give you this big table for your party." And hey, they made it happen, didn't they?
They did, and I give them props for that. It was great. The wait staff was really friendly, really nice. The owner's great. The food was amazing.
Cole in New Jersey. I'll find their link too. Cole. Wasn't it called Cole?
I think
Cole?
so.
I don't even think it was Cole Pizza. I was just thinking it was just Cole. Like things
or Coal Fired.
Coal Fire, maybe. I'll find it and put it down there. Again, we had a great time talking and chatting, and this is when I found out my biggest scary thing about New Jersey.
Your biggest scary thing about New
What was it, Ryan? Let's see. Let's see if you can guess what my biggest scary thing about dining in New Jersey is.
Oh, BYOB.
Yes. I couldn't order a beer. I couldn't order a glass of wine. Nope. And they were like, "It's BYOB." And I thought, well, that was weird. And this will come back later in another story.
Yes.
But yes, I'm very used to way too much restaurants always have alcohol and tap down in my neck of the woods. So, but yeah, we had a great dinner. Everybody, Keith was there. He joined us.
Yes.
We just had a really great conversation. Ryan, I think I pulled us out of there at 9:30.
It was somewhere around there. That was, and it was the right answer, for sure. I know I wanted to continue running my mouth and socialize, and you're like, "We need to go."
We haven't even checked in.
We haven't checked in the hotel yet. We're like, the hotel's somewhere over there. I don't know.
But we ended the day on a great note.
Yes,
we got to the hotel, and oh my God, Ryan, I'm not going to go into how he's become this. We stayed at a Marriott, right?
Yeah, it was a Marriott.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into how Ryan became a Marriott, like, super duper member. We had a 2-room suite. I felt VIP, baby.
Oh, it was great. We were super VIP. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they felt sorry for us when we were checking in at like 10 o'clock or 10:15. But it was a really nice setup for the 2 of us. We just, here's our space. Let's go do it. And it was easy peasy.
Ryan didn't have to listen to me snore, Larry. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to do this a little different, Ryan, that we're going to skip day 2.
Okay.
Because I think day 2 is its own podcast, all on its own. Okay. And I'm thinking we just jump. We skip consignment. So why don't we go over consignment on day 1 real quick, and then we'll jump into day 3. And then this one will wrap up with a day 3, and we'll do a day 2 second podcast, because it was packed, folks.
Day 2 is definitely packed, or day 1. Yeah, day 2 is definitely packed. Day 1 was a good ramp up, gets what's going on before dinner, and then after we saw the presentations, I'm downsizing my CRTs, and took a couple of CRTs, and actually at home
4.
I've four sold. I only have 1 back with, or 3 sold of the 4. Taking 1 back with me, fine with that. Whatever, it was a good sale. I'm happy.
And so we dropped off at consignment,
yeah.
And I'm telling you, folks, we were there after 5 o'clock, and it ran from 5 to 7 to fill up consignment. And let me tell you, that's why a lot of people come to VCF.
Oh, yes.
They want to rummage through everybody's rummages, and we got a deal on day 2. But anyways, we dropped off his stuff, and of course, since we were dropping off, we got to walk around and look, and it was beautiful. There was an Amiga 1200. There was what was the other Amiga for like $350?
Oh, there was an Amiga 5. There were 2 Amiga 500s in a box. One of them was $350. Ooh. I don't know how much the other one was. I saw someone carrying out a 2000 later, cheating a little bit of day 2. But yeah, there was a decent amount of Amiga stuff there. I was surprised.
And it was very eclectic. There was board games, there was VHS tapes, there was magazines, there was computer parts, there were computers. We just had a great time walking through the Commodore area. There was a video toaster. There was more things than you could shake a stick at. And they moved consignment into the fire hall, which I pray they keep up for next year. It's a little off the beaten path, but what's also good about that, you probably don't have as many looky-loos. You really have to make an effort to say, I want to go to consignment right now. And so we did our drop-off, and then we got back to that. So now we're going to forward in time. We've just moved forward in time to day 3. So we get up, we get there. Again, Usagi Electric. David is doing this. Do you remember the name of the drive repair he was doing?
I don't.
Jesus, I can't remember either.
I don't remember. I know the drive platter was 175 pounds itself, and they're rebuilding it, trying to get the hard drive functional again in this box.
And he started at 9 a.m. till the end of the day. I think he said he's just going to go till he's done.
Go till he's done, or they throw him out, or whatever.
Somewhere along those lines. So he had, and every time we stopped in right around the 9 o'clock time frame, and he's just going over the beginning disassembly. Not only was he doing that, he was very educational through the whole process also, really explaining why he did certain steps. And I'm a little jumping ahead because we must have been back and forth into that area 5-6 times.
Oh, easy.
And every time, a great audience. People are really enjoying watching him do what he does without the cuts, right? Because there's no way he could make a video of this and put an 8-hour video out that everyone would really want to watch. But the folks that want to see all the detail could, and it was busy the entire time. So day 3 had that going on. Day 3 did have a couple talks that we wanted to go to. I'm going to say the first one was the Macintosh history, kind of walking through the history of Mac from a junior engineer who got onto the project, and then from his eyes. And Ryan, what'd you think of his talk?
I like this talk. I didn't know what to expect, not being a vintage Mac guy. I'm like, oh, okay. But it was very interesting him going through the different, the history. They talk about the Mac, the Lisa, the Apple II as well, and just what his experiences were with those. He was in the early Apple II stuff. He had left by the time that the Apple IIgs came out.
Where did he go, Ryan?
He went to Commodore, actually, and designed some Commodore Amiga chips. Not the part of this topic for the presentation, but learned that later. He was one of the designers of the Agnes and Denise and the Paula chip for the Amiga. And
Ron asked him an incredibly good question during Q&A. What was that question and answer?
He was, from what Ron said, or what I heard, that he was the only person that was at the signing party for the first Mac and the Amiga. So his signature is actually in both.
Dude, how crazy is that?
That is awesome.
He told a little story at the end, too, about how he had kind of left before that was really hitting production.
Right.
And Steve Jobs came up to him and said, don't worry, you're still going to be in the signature pool for the Mac. So that really talked a lot about his ethics and his integrity. That he left Apple, went to Commodore, and before they went to the print for that, Steve Jobs said, yeah, we're keeping your name in there. You know, because a lot of bosses, we've all had a bad boss or two. Or maybe left somewhere and someone had some bitter grapes about it. Or is that the right word, bitter grapes? Or
sure.
bitters, I don't know.
Yeah.
And obviously for Steve to come up to him and say, hey, you're still in there, bud. That's a pretty cool thing to have happen in your life.
Yeah, really.
So again, another engineer, another great talk, and I'm really glad we stepped into that one on day 3. Again, we were back to the consignment area on day 3, and I was blown away.
Oh my. They sold so much stuff, so much hardware went through there. When we were dropping off at, 6 o'clock, a little after 6 on Friday, they were getting to the point where, like, where do we put this stuff? We're almost full. And it's like, find a spot, good luck. And they were accepting the consignment sale items till 10 o'clock on Friday.
Whew.
Wow.
Yeah, they did a good sale. Another thing that freaked me out a little bit was new stuff. There were new things there that weren't there on Saturday. So people had come and put more stuff into consignment. I think when Ryan was picking up later that afternoon, you were talking to one gentleman, Alex from the dinner club. And if I heard right, tell me if I heard right, he said this was their best-selling year.
Yeah, he said they've went through more items this year than they ever have before. And that just shows you how important the consignment is. And for me, I am the custodian for the equipment that I have. And when I no longer want to be the custodian, this is a great place to be able to find a new home, a good home for that hardware.
I like our people.
I do.
We wrapped up in consignment, and right before that we wrapped up, we did stop into the microcore talk that was there.
Right.
I think that was one where I talked about 90%, right?
Yep.
That was one that we heard what we needed to hear. And we left the talk a little early. We went and got your one monitor that didn't
Correct.
sell, loaded it up, and,
Yep.
and that's where we are now, dear listener. We are heading back from that trip. I think, Ryan, this is a good place to close out this episode, and I swear day 2 is going to be his home thing.
I think it is. We're going to come back, and we'll talk about day 2 and all of the fun that happened there. It's just an awesome day all around. I hope you'll join us for that episode.
All right, talk to you all soon, maybe in a couple weeks, right?
I hope so.
All right, bye now.